Did you know in Avengers Age of Ultron, they actually foreshadow Quicksilver's death during a speech that Captain America gives to Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and Quicksilver? Captain America stated, "If you get hurt, hurt him back. If you get killed, walk it off." When Steve mentions getting killed and walking it off, the camera points and focuses on Quicksilver. They also show all 4 of the new Avengers at the end of the film when we see Scarlet Witch, Vision, Falcon, and War Machine together. Did you know in Black Panther, originally there were only male Jabari around for the rescue of Dora Milaje? During post-production, the editor told Ryan Coogler that she felt this undermined the focus on the strong female characters that are established in the film. Coogler decided to add female Jabari fighters through additional photography, and this includes the first on-screen Jabari fighter in the scene. Did you know in Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, Luke's appearances as a Force ghost mirror that of Obi-Wan in The Return of the Jedi? In both films, they only appear twice in the same manner. Here, Luke appears first to reveal Rey's relation to Palpatine, and Obi-Wan appears to reveal Luke's relation to Vader. Again, Luke appears briefly at the end to salute her from a distance on Tatooine. Obi-Wan does the same at the end of Return of the Jedi on Andor to salute Luke. This also brings Obi-Wan's ghostly words of wisdom to a full circle. In The Force Awakens, Rey hears him say that these are her first steps. In this film, he tells her that these are her final steps. Did you know in Doctor Strange, there's a disclaimer at the end of the film that warns people about the dangers of distracted driving? This is an obvious reference to Strange's car accident that happened due to him looking at his device while driving. But this is actually part of a long-running joke. It was made clear in a later interview that this is part of the joke that essential warnings always appear after instead of before instructions. This is a joke that's repeated multiple times in the film. Did you know in X2, X-Men United, there are multiple homages to Jean Grey's alter ego, the Phoenix? When Jean and Storm are looking for Nightcrawler in the church, she's seen wearing a jacket with a phoenix on the back. When she uses her powers, we can see a fiery aura in her eyes. Also at the end, the camera glides over the water and the shadow of a large bird can be seen. This is a reference to Jean being resurrected as the Phoenix. Did you know in Black Panther, security around the script leaks were so tight that Sterling Brown had to return his immediately on the day of shooting. One day, he accidentally forgot his copy in his hotel room, and he immediately had to drive back to the hotel, and was followed to his room where he had to hand over the pages for accounting. Did you know in the Addams Family, at the end of the film, the entire town shows up to help rebuild the Addams' home at the top of the hill, and they make quite a large part of it pink. This is an homage to the original Addams Family show where most of the set was actually painted pink so that they could get the proper shades of black, white, and gray for the black and white screens of the time. In this film, Wednesday also has a pet octopus named Socrates, but in the show, his name is Aristotle and is Pugsley's. In the 1991 film, he's not included in the film, but there is a likeness of him on the foot of Wednesday's bed. Did you know in Space Jam: A New Legacy, there's a cameo with the original Martians from the first Space Jam? These were the antagonists of that film, but you'll miss the shot if you blink. These shots weren't reanimated or redone, but they decided to directly copy them from the original movie. The first shot of the Martians cheering was actually digitally extended by reversing the footage. Did you know in the X-Files, this is actually the second time that David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson kissed during the outtakes. The first time was in the X-Files Memento Mori, and the kiss was deleted because the producers didn't want the first kiss to happen because of her having cancer. In this film, they kiss twice in outtakes. Once when Gillian crashes David into the wall, and another when he disappears while taking her away. Did you know in Zombieland, Abigail Breslin is the only member of the main cast that hasn't played a larger part in a comic book film? Jesse Eisenberg played Lex Luthor in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, Justice League, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Woody Harrelson played Carnage in Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Emma Stone played Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man films. Even Bill Murray has an upcoming part in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum's. Did you know in Spawn, they had to change the murderer character for the film? In the original Spawn comics, Al's murderer was named Chapel, but the rights to the character remained with the artist and Deadpool creator, Rob Liefeld. Because of this, Jessica Priest was created to replace Chapel, and this was their way of keeping with the church-themed name. They even added Priest into the Spawn comics later on. Did you know in The Invitation, there were actually 2 alternate endings for the movie, and one of them was actually filmed. The unfilmed version would have Evie keep her powers, and she would go out into the world to kill other vampires. The alternate ending that they filmed would have had Dracula survive the fire, and he would have returned to Romania by ship. In the process, he would have killed the crew and passengers on the way to survive. Did you know in Top Gun Maverick, the main mission in this film is really similar to the Death Star mission in Star Wars. A small group of fighters have to fly along a trench very low to avoid the defensive. They must target the opening to a small shaft, and the successful shot is made by a pilot who goes off on his own instinct. The heroes are also saved by the arrogant pilot that wasn't part of the original mission. Even in the training mission, Maverick attacks them, and one pilot tells the other to stay on target before they're both shot. Did you know in Hocus Pocus 2, they answer a question that the first movie brought up? In the original film, Winifred says, "We are witches, we are evil. What would Mother say if she could see us like this?" This film makes it clear that they aren't actually talking about their biological mother. Instead, Winifred is referring to the witch mother who gave them their spellbook back in 1653. Did you know in Andor, Cassian's blaster is actually from the non-canon Star Wars Legends continuity? It's called the Briar Pistol, and it was introduced in 1995 in the video game Star Wars Dark Forces. In 2015, the video game Star Wars Battlefront brought the pistol over into the official canon, but this series marks the first live-action appearance of the blaster. There are also items in Luthen's gallery that are from the Indiana Jones universe and the wider Star Wars universe. Did you know in My Friend Dahmer, towards the end of the film, Jeffrey actually picks up a hitchhiker who states that he's coming back from a concert. This man is actually who ended up being Dahmer's first victim. But in real life, the man was picked up on his way to the concert instead of coming back from one. His name was Stephen Hicks. On top of that, the film was actually filmed in Jeffrey's childhood home in Bath, Ohio. Did you know in Jeepers Creepers Reborn, they actually had to build a new creeper truck? The original 2 trucks that were used in the previous films were based in the United States, but most of this project was filmed in London. Bringing the trucks across the ocean would have been too expensive for the production budget, and the script warranted a different style for the truck. This truck had to be more visually worn and damaged. Did you know in Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, there were quite a few differences between fantasy and reality? The scene where Dahmer, the jogger, and the baseball bat are together happened differently. In the series, Dahmer comes up to the jogger with a bat in hand, and the jogger runs away. In real life, Dahmer had the whole attack planned out, but the jogger didn't show up that day. During Dahmer's time in the army, he was considered to be an average soldier for his first year of service. According to his fellow servicemen, the medic actually forced himself upon him over a 17-month period, and Jeffrey's performance went downhill after that due to drinking. It wasn't until March of 1981 that his superiors decided that his drinking impaired his ability to be a soldier. Since no one thought that his drinking was bad enough to keep him from living a normal civilian life, he got an honorable discharge. Did you know in Okja, there's a scene where Giancarlo Esposito makes coffee for Tilda Swinton, and he checks under his cup at the end of it. This is a joke reference to the film The Usual Suspects. In that film he also appeared, and the bottom of his coffee mug was very important as it ended up holding the key clue to the mystery. Did you know in the Munsters, none of the original actors or actresses reprise their role, but Butch Patrick and Pat Priest appear in voice cameos. Butch Patrick played Eddie in the original series, and he provided the voice of the Tin Can Man in this prequel film. Pat Priest played Marilyn in the original series, and she provided the voice of the Transylvania Airlines announcer in this film.